This time of year is the greatest time of year. It's the best, most beautiful time in Boise. And these days are just perfect. And you got football going on in full swing, and all the, you got Major League Baseball playoffs. The Mariners are in
What a sweep.
place.
What a sweep.
Yes, did they win yesterday? That's it. Yeah, I mean, what a great time. And like you said, the first practice now it's ceremonial. Yeah, because in the old days, you really didn't see your team till October 15th. So like you did not see them play 5-on-5 and coach them 5-on-5, that kind of thing. Now you've practiced all summer, you practiced in the fall, and so now it's more. You also have to have some urgency, but you have to have a right pace to this thing because like I said in the summer, you can't prepare to fight Mike Tyson for 12 months. There has to be different changes in season that the players need to feel, and I do. But this is the exciting change where, hey, we're playing a game in uniform, an exhibition game in 3 weeks. So a little over 3 weeks, right? And so that's exciting. Now there's a lot to do, and we've made good progress in the summer. We've made some good progress in the fall so far. We have to make huge progress in the next 3 or 4 weeks, and to get out of the gate with important games that you have in November.
What are those areas of progress you want to see, or questions you still have? Or?
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of questions you're gonna have that are only answered by getting under the lights. You think until you go out and play games and get under the lights, and that's why it's nice to have the exhibition in front of fans, because you can see where experience comes in. You can see who can do it when the lights are on and we call game slippage happens. But we're not near our standard I'll start with rebounding. We're not even close to the rebounding team we need to be. We're not close to the figuring out who goes where, how the parts fit together. We're not even close to that. And that usually happens a little more organically. You got to let that take shape. And you don't want to put your starting lineup in July. There's some things that need to happen before you do all that. And so some of that just has to happen at a certain speed. But, there's nothing different than any other year as far as what you need to do. But it just becomes more of a challenge this day and age with the comings and goings in programs. And we didn't have that many. We just lost some key guys, with the seniors that we had. So that does change a team.
I mean, you said there once upon a time this would be the first day you really got to see your team. Now everybody around the country gets to benefit from this. I get it, but how much more confident do you feel with like the mesh between the newcomers and the returners at this point, because you've actually had time to do that?
No, we feel like a team. I mean, we act like a winning gym. We look like a team. We're starting to get our culture, and that's always a work in progress. There's always ups and downs and things that you gotta. There's always going to be problems and things that come up that you got to adjust to and teach, and all the things that happen on and off the court. So that's just part of the job, and that's just part of being with a group. And but I've been really, really pleased with the way these guys are connected as a group.
What's it mean to you to get that rivalry with Idaho back on the book, even if it is an exhibition game?
Well, when I came here, I remember the first, those first games. I was like, wow, this is an intense rivalry. And so, it gives the fans something, both fan bases, because there's a lot of Idaho fans here in this valley. And, hopefully we can get to the point where we're cheering for them when they're not playing us, and they're cheering for us when, vice versa. But it'll be a cool atmosphere, and that game's going to be sold out. You better grab them now, because it's the night before the UNL football game. There's going to be a lot going on, and should be a fun night.
Leon, I think you kind of alluded to it a minute ago, but the boys with the Utah incident. Let's just, do you have any thoughts, or I guess how do you feel about the whole situation?
Well, my first, as a loyal Bronco, and when I see a friend wearing somebody else's logo, I get upset. Like, hey, you're my buddy. Well, I went to that school. Okay, yeah, I get it. But so your first thought is anger and when you get through that, because you don't solve problems when you're angry, but you feel like that's a disloyal thing. But the one thing that I do know, and I will say, you cannot question my guys' loyalty. Those guys, I mean, they would run through a wall for this program, and they have. You watch R.J. Keene play, he'll run through a wall to bleed blue and orange. I mean, and Andrew and all those guys, and they could be anywhere else this day and age. They've chosen to be here. They've been loyal to this program, and that so we are not questioning their loyalty. Now, their judgment is, but that's on us to educate, and it's on them to understand it. It's not what it used to be. They're not amateur athletes anymore. These are professional athletes, and LeBron James wouldn't be wearing a Clippers hat. Maxey wouldn't be wearing a Boston Celtics jersey. You don't do that. And so it's a learning thing. I mean, I understand they're college students. They want to just go blend in, and they got friends on the team. It's a regional, they're rooting for a regional team. Great. But it's perceived differently, and it's out in social media, and they have to be aware of that. And so it's an education thing. I think it's just a lapse in their judgment where they just didn't think it through. And we've talked, and we'll talk more about it. And is it the end of the world? No, but yeah, I think everybody, like guys that have played here before, like, Coach, what's the deal with that? Like, I would never have done that. I know. It's just somewhat of a different era, but still, it's a different era for them, that they are professionals, and they have to act like professionals, and we have to teach them how to act like professionals, and that's part of our culture building. And yeah, I know, believe me, I've been here 16 years. This logo and this program and what we built here and our culture, it means everything to me. So even the slightest, I get defensive, and all of us do, and that's why we got great fans. We all see that and like, that's bull. and so there's an anger, and there's like, that's disloyal, and that's you cannot question their loyalty. We'll fix and help them with their judgment on this stuff. And again, like all these things with college age athletes that have been thrust into this new era, there has to be a lot of education, and there has to be a lot of define expectations of what we do and how we act in every situation. And you wouldn't even think that that's something that you need to talk about in the wildest dreams. I wouldn't have thought of that. But like I tell our guys, it's how we respond is what's important. It's never the crime, it's always the cover up. And so let's own it as men, let's fix it, and let's understand, let's learn from it, let's grow from it, and let's grow as a department from it, because we all can, like I said, we all can learn.
Not to say it was excusable, but was there more to the story, or fans?
Oh yeah, there absolutely is. I mean, there was a lot. There's other layers to the story of those guys were down there doing something special for the program in another way that I won't talk about. But they had a friend on the team. They just wanted to blend in, okay, we're just going to blend it. Well, you can blend in with neutral polos. I mean, it's, so I get it. And there's a part of that. It's the last weekend before I knew they were going down there. I want them to experience some college things and be college guys. But, that was where you have to use some solid judgment about who you are and who you represent at all times. And that's hard,
Like you said, Leon, it's an education thing. It's how
no
you
doubt.
respond. So, what's the conversation like with them? And then is there going to be some sort of media training for
Well,
them?
everything, there always is. I mean, we're always doing that stuff, and it's how to act as these guys. You ask our team, or you ask any guy that's playing at a high level in college, who wants to be a professional. everyone raises their hand. Well, this is part of being a professional. The professional is not just, I'm the best player on the floor. You have to act like it 24/7. You have to represent yourself that way and represent who you're working for and that program you're with and all that. And these guys do a great job of that. So I don't want, that to get lost. And like I said, these are some of the loyalist guys. They've chosen to be here at Boise. And they play their tails off for these fans, and this program means everything to them. And they were remorseful. They were like, Coach, we just didn't really think it through. And so, I get that, but we got to help them do better at thinking things through and knowing what it means. And now the whole era of social media adds a whole nother layer. All those things that maybe they don't think through every layer of it.
The team in general, just obviously some new faces, some returners. What excites you most about this team?
I think again, like I said, a lot of this you don't learn, and it kind of evolves as you go. It seems like the parts fit together really well. We did a great job of, Alvaro and Tyson and Omar, those are hard guys to replace. And I think we did the best, the great job of replacing them in the fact that they're different. The Dylan's a different point guard than Alvaro, but he's a really good point guard. And Drew's a different player than Tyson, and Dom's a different player, but you can do that kind of by committee a little bit too. But the parts fit together, and I think there's going to be a good synergy with this team and a good chemistry with this team, and when it all sorts out, I think that's what I'm maybe most excited about.
That's a little early to say, Leon, but how deep do you guys think you're going to go? How competitive are
Yeah,
some of these roster spots?
that is a hard one to say. Again, that's one of those things that always sorts itself out, and the season's so long that it almost becomes a war of attrition. You start out with 11, you end up with 8, or 12, or there's always that. But it's really hard to play 10, 11, 12. It's almost impossible. So it'll narrow itself down through natural selection, and everyone always talks about that, and I'm like, hey, it has a way of sorting itself out, and so kind of just you let that happen, and it'll happen organically a little bit.